clothing for Buddy Pough, provided by Bill Owens Custom Clothing. Bill Owens Custom Clothing is a proud sponsor of the Buddy Pough Show.
All right, it is time for us to acknowledge the Regional Medical Center All-Heart Player of the Week this week on the Buddy Pough Show. And Coach, when you start looking at this week's Regional All-Health Player, you talk about a guy who's really coming to his own, and it came out on Saturday in front of the home folks.
It did. Derek Wiley has really been coming on, and we're excited about all the different dimensions that he brings to our offense. He's a runner, he's a thrower, and he's gotten to the point now where he's really operating our team in a good, positive manner, so he is our all-heart player.
All right, Derek Wiley, as we begin the second half highlights here on the Buddy Pough Show, you'll see Derek Wiley playing a huge role. As Coach, in my opinion, coming out for the second half, we didn't close the first half with a lot of great efficiency, but boy, do we see offensive efficiency on this first drive.
We did, and you saw Scoot down on the field there, and that was a little bit of a concern, but we go with a little play-action ball down the middle, and we hit Caleb Davis. He's really running hard there. You see he's dragging guys along with him, and we come back and hand the ball off here to the little bubble screen ball right back to him again, and it's almost like just a long handoff. And
you start looking at this drive, Coach. You're seeing every play in this drive because every play in this drive pretty much was pretty efficient.
It is. You see Ashton up the middle. Our guys are doing a nice job of clearing some way here for us. Tristan Bellamy and Sam Hammond. All those guys are doing a nice job for us there. Big Dominique Wilson right there pushing this guys. He runs around the edge, and Derek gets out of pocket and goes down to about the 5-yard line.
There's your Regional Medical Center all-heart player, Derek Wiley, and Wiley, of course, will finish this off with a 1-yard touchdown run. It was a 7-play, 81-yard drive that took just a minute and 48 seconds, made it 35-0 South Carolina State.
And then they come back here and try to go with a little power play here, and you see Devon Quattlebaum really just drives him into the ground, and they throw a little ball over the middle, and it ends up right in the middle of Joe Thomas's 4 and 8, and the next thing you know, he's in the end zone for another score.
Joe Thomas on the return for South Carolina State, 43 yards on that interception return for a touchdown. The point after touchdown, no good. It was 41-0 South Carolina State, and there's Devon Quattlebaum again.
I think they need to block Quattlebaum, because if not, he's going to hurt somebody out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick Elko back on offense, going up top. Mason Harris's first INT of the year.
And that's really good to see Mason have a good play like that on the deep ball, because we've all, documented his problems, and it's good to see him get back and get some confidence. You see Ashton Jordan back at the middle again, and he's starting to get a feel for things there as far as the run game is concerned.
4 carries for Ashton, 53 yards. Here's a pass out into the flat, and Caleb Davis turned it on the Jets.
This is our bubble screen, and we give it to Caleb out here in the flat, and he runs it in for a long, long touchdown.
71 yards from Derek Wiley, 3-play, 86-yard drive, took just 27 seconds, 48 for South Carolina State, nothing for Bethune. Nick Elko running around trying to buy some time, but hard to do it against this quick Bulldog defense.
That's Arnett James that hems it up there and pushes it back in the opposite direction. You see our freshman defensive end on the other side, Alice Glover, making the sack.
South Carolina State, of course, with Wiley having such a good ball game, Coach, gives you an opportunity now to experiment and get some other folks into the ball game.
Right. We got Richard Q in the game here, and he's really playing well here for us. He throws the ball out here to Marquez Hamlin, and Hamlin makes a real nice catch there.
Okay, Marquez with the catch for South Carolina State, and again, the handoff, and again, South Carolina State with the carry and a good game.
This is Charles Brown running the ball, and it's kind of good that they call them penalties on us, because we can knock it off such big chunks of yardage until we need them to call penalties so we can get more plays in that way. You see Richard actually running the read play there, and he gets in the end zone, but they call holding again, so that gives us a chance to run another offensive snap.
And Coach, you see the confidence of Richard Q, which you've seen many times in practice, but it's good to see him now get that in a game type situation.
And we've got to have a second quarterback ready to go, because with the amount of time that we're running these guys, it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to get banged up a little bit. And, you see Richard go in and score a touchdown right there.
That was an 11-play, 95-yard drive, capped off by the 3-yard touchdown run by Richard Q, and then the Bulldog defense coming up with another sack.
It's hard when you get the ball on the 50 to have 95 yards, but what happens is they keep penalizing, we keep getting more yards. But you see Justin Hughes there making a stop there. He's one of our freshman linebackers from up in mid-Virginia.
And Richard Q with the handoff here. Chris Merrill, who had 160 yards last year against Delaware State, finding his oats here against Delaware State again. He had 67 yards on 13 carries.
He did. You can see Chris is really excited about being in here, and he's running really hard and doing a nice job of running through some tackles.
South Carolina State's offensive line got a chance to play a lot of offensive linemen. Coach, we talked about Shaq Harris and some of the other young guys getting there, getting an opportunity.
Right, yeah. This is Jonathan Saxon's in there and Gideon Scott. You see the little bubble screen again out here at the Julius Pendergrass.
There's Pendergrass again with the catch out in the flat. He's a freshman out of Chester. And then how about Dennis Rowe out of Keenan High School?
How about my Keenan boy? Got a score here. And I'm so excited for he and his family. It looks like he's going to be a good player for us for years to come now.
The point after touchdown made it 62 for South Carolina State, nothing for Delaware State. Delaware State forced late in the football game to punt the football, and Stephen Murphy really making them pay here.
Yeah, now Stephen had a couple of chances to make some punt returns, and then it did not work out so well, but it looks like he's going to finally figure this thing out. We've got two good punt returners now. He and Darius Drummond seem to both be really catching on as far as how to return punts. And then this is Pendergrass here scoring on a little bubble screen. I wish he just kind of run around that guy. He didn't need to make contact there, but these freshmen sometimes got to figure some things out. But that's a good field. That's a good PAT afterwards.
A 12-yard pass to Darius Wiley, the third-string quarterback in there with the pass to Pendergrass, made it 69-0. South Carolina State. Bulldog defense forcing another punt coming up by Delaware State, and Stephen Murphy almost putting the Bulldogs on the board again.
He almost did. That was our guy. That's one of our young guys, General Brown, making a sack back there. But then Murphy's got a picket fence of guys going down the sideline here. I thought he was going to break it back to the inside there and score, but he didn't. And at that point, then it was probably best for us to go ahead and take a knee.
Stephen Murphy, of course, bringing it back down. South Carolina State taking a knee, mercifully ending of the blowout over Delaware State, 69-0. South Carolina State the winner. Overwhelming win for Coach Buddy Pough and the South Carolina State Bulldogs. If we could go back and take a look at the drive of the game, the State Farm drive of the game, we talked about it, Coach, and efficiency is so important. And we go back to the end of the first half to begin the second half of the third quarter. You always want to come out and play well in that first possession of the third quarter.
Right. Didn't finish the first half up as strong as we would have liked, and we wanted to get a good start for the second half, so then we go down the field here and score pretty quickly. You see Wiley hitting Caleb Davis on the little vertical ball there, and Caleb just kind of drags him along with him and makes a nice run. And then after that, then we come back and hit him again on the bubble screen. You see Antoine Carr blocking out in the alley there, and he gets, I guess, about a 10 or 12-yard gain. We end up then giving it to Ashton Jordan. Ashton makes a nice run up the middle and kind of drives the power forward. Looks like he's getting back to full speed again. And then we come back here and go to a little play action ball here to Scoot Simmons. We don't quite get the protection over to the left, and then Wiley spreads around left and runs the ball. That's one of the mentions that you get with a guy that's got that kind of athleticism with him. And then we go with the little read play and he runs it into the end zone.
7 plays, 81 yards, your State Farm drive of the game. We'll take a time out here on the Buddy Pough Show. South Carolina State a 69-0 winner over Delaware State. When we come back, we will tell you what is up next for your South Carolina State Bulldogs.
For the next big Bulldog game, stock up on the most delicious tailgating packages around at Fats Cafe, where regulars are treated special and everyone's a regular.
All right, the Fats Cafe, Fats Facts. As we look around the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, you see Morgan State with the winner over Howard. It was Coastal Carolina defeating North Carolina A&T. Hampton on that Hampton Bethune-Cookman score is not correct. Hampton defeated Bethune-Cookman defeated Hampton 35-31 in a very controversial win on the part of Bethune-Cookman. That Norfolk State 33, Charleston Southern 3. That one is correct when you start talking about that ball game this past weekend. And of course, Coach, when you start thinking about Norfolk State, before we talk about Norfolk State, let's put Delaware State to bed and talk about where your football team is from the standpoint of improvement as we get deeper now into the MEAC schedule.
Well, I think you see that we've gotten to the point where we think we are getting to be more of a full football team. I think all of our sides are developing, and I think that we'll be okay from this point on. Now, the big deal is Norfolk State, and Norfolk's so familiar with us. They do a lot of the same kinds of things that we do, very similarly. They've got some of the guys on that staff who are part of our staff. And, you know, it'll be a tough football game for us. Those guys were leading West Virginia at the half up at West Virginia. It's a pretty safe bet that they're going to really be prepared for us this coming week.
Now, you start talking about on the road at Norfolk State, Coach. That's always been a difficult place to play for South Carolina State. I think it was 2007 when Norfolk State upset South Carolina State. What does Pete Adrian, who, of course, was a former defensive coordinator at Bethune-Cookman, what type of problems do they present defensively for our team?
Well, they are always very well prepared. Their defense is one of those that's very similar to our style of defense. They run around very well. They give you a lot of looks. It's hard sometimes to decipher exactly where they're at and where they're coming from. And then offensively, they'll give our defense some issues because they understand exactly what our defense is trying to do to them.
Coach, from the standpoint of offense, Derek Riley came into his own, his best all-around game this past weekend for the Bulldogs. As far as you getting deep into your playbook now, are we seeing everything from the standpoint, as they say, the total package of South Carolina State?
You're seeing a lot of it. We think that we've got some things that we'd like to still try to experiment with a little bit. This offense is totally new to us, and we don't have a lot of places to go to get information on it because there is nobody else doing what we do. So, you know, we've got to kind of figure things out as we go a little bit now. There are things that we think that will be a great fit for Derek, and there's some things we need to stay away from. We need to figure out those things that we need to stay away from in a hurry and get to those things that we need to do.
Defensively, we haven't talked a lot about defensive coordinator Mike Adams, but of course, defense is the cornerstone of South Carolina State. When you look at Norfolk State, what kind of problems do they present offensively?
Well, you know, Norfolk will be about as prepared for our defense as anybody we've seen so far. And, you know, they'll have a great idea about exactly how to attack them. But now Coach Adams will have a good idea about how to attack them too, because they'll be very similar to us in the approach that we use during our preseason practice. So, you know, it could be one of those defensive struggles that you don't expect to be a defensive struggle because you always think that offenses are going to get off, and the next thing you know, both defenses know more about us than we think that they do.
Well, the thing about this game on Saturday, folks, I want to remind you that this is a 4 o'clock kickoff up at Norfolk State. Normally we kick off around 1 o'clock. It is a 4 o'clock kickoff. It's an afternoon game. So, of course, we hope to have all the Bulldog fans that can make the trip up to Norfolk State make that trip, because we need you up in Norfolk this weekend. We hope to see you next week once again up in Norfolk State when the Bulldogs take on the Spartans, and next week right here on the Buddy Pough Show.